everyone, and welcome to the second part of our comment section 2025 upcoming special. Last episode, 103, we talked about upcoming TV, video games, comic books, and in this episode, we are going to talk about all of 2025's upcoming films, cinema, the silver screen, movies, all, you've heard of them.
Yes.
And yeah, that's a big thing to talk about. So we're going to talk this whole episode about upcoming 2025 movies.
That's right.
And the way I am going to do it is by doing several categories, which I will get into as we go over them.
But I went by release date.
That we always do this differently. Mine are not going to be in order.
That's what happens when producer Paul doesn't tell us what way he wants it. He just says, do whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why this show is a mess.
Yes.
But
he calls the rabbit hole, he calls it the garbage disposal.
That's
basically the way he refers to it as.
Yeah, he's always keep falling down that garbage disposal.
That's right.
That's what he says. But that means as we go back and forth with saying movies that we're looking forward to,
some of them are not.
Yes, that's true. Most of mine I'm looking forward to. Some of them I'm like, we'll see. And at least one of them I am the opposite of looking forward to.
I mean, legit, two of them are ones that I really don't have much to say, but I figured you might have not noticed them, so I figured I'd ask. Do you know anything about this?
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's a fair thing to do. I will also, as always, like half of my stuff is horror, so I have non-horror and horror, and then subcategories within each. But why don't we just get into it? But I don't know. Do we want to test the fates again and flip a coin to see?
We could.
Because, I mean,
could.
Your theory was that I always seem to win these, and we can test that theory right now.
It's almost like someone came and weighted the tail's end of this penny somehow. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Or we're going to find out I'm related to Paul.
Yeah. Which, then you'll have to go get checked for a bunch of mental health history or whatever.
Yeah, that would be a lot. And plus, it doesn't matter because I know very well that Paul hates his relatives.
Yeah,
so it wouldn't even matter. So
you're not going to get an extra Christmas card or anything.
Yeah, exactly. So let's flip. As always, I pick tails.
Yes. All right. Let us see. Okay, it landed. Well, looky.
What does
that mean? Surprise! Freaking prize. I don't know if you can see.
Oh.
But it is once again
the
Tails,
theory,
a.k.a. Sonic the Hedgehog's best friend.
Yeah, miles per hour. Which I just learned is miles per hour. Like, that's the pun.
Whoa.
Anyway, the proof... That's the proof we need that it's weighted towards me.
Yes.
I will start us off then.
I guess so.
Let's just start with... I think it would be fun to start with the animated section.
Oh, okay.
Starting with something that's out tomorrow. So maybe that actually...
okay.
I just saw that it's out tomorrow. So yeah, I guess it is a little bit in order for me, coincidentally, because I don't think anything could possibly come out sooner than this.
Okay.
And that is a beloved British animated stop-motion series of many, many years is getting its next feature film. It's Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul.
That's tomorrow?
It comes out tomorrow, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Honestly,
I thought it was already out.
Oh, let me double check. Wallace and Gromit. It says, it might have. Oh, okay. It premiered on the BBC on Christmas.
Oh, okay.
but it's coming out tomorrow on Netflix.
On Netflix. Okay.
So a little on the edge, but look, we'll call this a technicality. Because I hadn't had a chance to talk about it yet. I do love me some Wallace and Gromit. I did grow up watching a few of the short movies, and I think in recent years, as I've grown
Where
to
did you watch
appreciate,
them? Like on
I
were they on
think
Nickelodeon or something?
I think we
or-
would rent them,
Oh, okay.
like from the video store, I think.
Blockbuster or
Yeah.
Video Master.
Family Video.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's how we'd get them. But then I actually bought just all the Wallace and Gromit stuff digitally not too long ago, as I started to kind of appreciate stop motion more, and like yeah. I mean, some of those are great. I also think Curse of the Were-Rabbit is an excellent their excellent first foray into a feature film adventure. So excited that this one will be good as well. The premise is Gromit is concerned that Wallace has become over dependent on his inventions, and that proves justified when a gnome that Wallace invented starts to develop a mind of its own. So just more of Wallace's hijinks and inventions always backfiring, and Gromit having to keep everything in order. So very excited for that. I love stop motion, so I love any chance to shout out a stop motion, and in this particular case, an Aardman stop motion piece, which is, yeah, of course, just one of the best studios doing it.
Yeah, I own like a DVD of like the first 3 shorts and the Curse of the Were-Rabbit, but it's been a while since I've seen them. So maybe sometime soon I will bust out those DVDs, because I do not remember much about them anymore.
Yeah. I would honestly, I would even recommend like going from like even oldest to newest, like some of the early ones that are more like 30-40 minute tunes or something, like really kind of shorter films. Those are great.
Is Wallace and Gromit in any way, and maybe I'll feel like a fool for asking this, is it in any way related to Chicken Run?
Well, they're both Aardman. So
okay.
all of Aardman's am I right about that? Aardman, I thought like the faces make, yes, Aardman did Chicken Run. Aardman Animation, Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, Shaun the Sheep. Those are kind of the main ones.
Oh, okay.
And they've done some diversions too, but all of them, like, you can usually tell from the face. They all have the wide face thing. Like that's a kind of a signature animation or character design choice through all of them. Not the same universe, but yeah, Chicken Run, they're both Aardman.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my first one, Wallace and Gromit. Vengeance Most Foul.
Oh, yes. So I guess I'll move on to my first thing now. My first thing comes out on February 14th, Valentine's Day. That's right. So it is the first Marvel movie to come out this year, Captain America: Brave New World. That's right. So I have not known what to think about this movie, and I probably won't know what to think about it until like the week it comes out, because it's a Captain America movie without Steve Rogers, which I think is a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they wanted to do a movie with Sam Wilson as Captain America, they should still have Steve be a part of the MCU. And then I think in an ideal world, you would have had him be a mentor like Bruce Wayne was in Batman Beyond, or even probably not as much, or like Peter Parker in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, just to show that he's still in the world. But here's the thing: The Falcon and the Winter Soldier was such a surprise to me, the TV show, because I turned it on basically being like, all right, it's gonna suck, but I got some time to kill. Why not? And I think it is by far the best Marvel Disney Plus show. And I thought they did a really good job handling it, because I think what they did was they left where Steve was a little ambiguous. Like they talked about how he may be on the moon right now, which I kind of think might be the actual case. And one thing that I thought was so smart about Falcon and Winter Soldier, because the whole time I was just like, how are you going to make it so the whole time I'm not wondering, why is Steve not helping out? Because while I think the scene of him passing the shield in Endgame was a very nice scene, a very kind of, it felt right that to end Cap's story that way, but was perceived by that really stupid scene of him traveling back in time and just living in the past. So the part of me is just like, am I good the whole time going to be thinking, wow, Steve, you put Sam and Bucky in this position because you had to stay back in time. But I think one of the smart things they did was taking Sam and Bucky out of New York in that show. So it removed kind of that, well, where is Steve? Because even if this show had happened when Chris Evans was still a regular part of the MCU, taking them out of New York kind of removes that about like, oh, he's in New York. They're just, they're going around the world. And so I think that having this movie take place in Washington, D.C. also kind of removes the, where is Steve? Where is Steve? Why isn't he helping or anything?
Yeah.
I think that removes that. And we have, we're already getting a Captain America movie without Steve Rogers. This is basically a sequel to The Incredible Hulk without the Hulk, because we're getting Red Hulk, we're getting the leader, we're getting right there. You got the Hulk's two arch enemies, and we're getting Betty Ross. So there's that, but who knows? But we can't remove the fact that this movie has had a very, very troubled production. They've gone back to reshoot this thing multiple times. Giancarlo Esposito, a villain, wasn't announced until like their third time going back to reshoot it. People have pointed out the director has been noticeably absent from Comic-Con and CinemaCon. So who knows what's going on there. I don't really know what to think about this movie. I don't even know if I'm going to bother seeing this movie, but that's kind of where I'm like, I don't know what to think. Now, I will say this. Some people are wondering, could this movie overall hurt the MCU? I don't think a Captain America movie about Sam Wilson, even if it's bad, I don't think it can kill the MCU, because while the Avengers was the primary franchise in the Infinity Saga, I just kind of feel like we've moved past that, and right now it feels like Spider-Man and X-Men are the big franchises of the MCU right now.
Right.
So even if it's bad, I don't think it's as terrible as it would have been a few years ago. Like if we didn't have Spider-Man, X-Men, then if this movie had been bad, it would have been catastrophic. But
yeah,
I don't think it's as bad, because genuinely it just is like, I don't even know how this next Avengers movie is going to do, because it doesn't feel like the Avengers are kind of the main thing of this universe anymore. It feels like it's really, from my point of view, it's Spider-Man and X-Men. But
yeah,
that's kind of my thoughts. What do you think about Captain America: Brave New World?
Yeah. No, I agree that I would be doubtful that this is a make or break movie. So yeah, it's kind of a situation where I think if it's good, it could help, but it wouldn't. It's not the end of the world if it's bad. But yeah, in general, it does kind of feel like we're still playing, like it's such a post Endgame feeling thing where it's sort of like, aren't we done with that? Like,
Yeah.
so like that's kind of the part that feels down. But other things I've seen, other than that general feeling, I think it looks like it could be good. But there's not a lot riding on that.
Yeah. I'll also say the trailers have been really good.
Yeah, that's
Although
what I thought.
they also fixed kind of my one thing with the trailer, because in the trailer they introduced Harrison Ford, and look, if you're a comic book fan, he's taking over as Thunderbolt Ross from William Hurt. But in the first trailer, they never say he's Thunderbolt Ross, so it could be confusing if you didn't know that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But they did kind of fix that in the second trailer. Here's my question before we wrap up about Captain America Brave New World. We know Chris Evans is coming back for Avengers Doomsday, which obviously means he'll be back for Secret Wars. Will Chris Evans appear in this movie?
Would it be bold of me to suggest yes, but only an a post-credit scene? Because I think it would be something like that, or like almost more of a cameo thing.
No, because I think you're exactly right.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he's in it because look, they've gone back for reshoots so many times.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? And narratively, I think it would help it to show, hey, Steve is still a part of this universe, and he didn't just abandon everyone. Like, he's still there.
Mm-hmm.
And, saving him for a post-credit scene would do a great job of, like, not overshadowing the whole movie.
Yeah.
By the way, I still think there's a chance, because Thaddeus Ross, I mean, unlike in real life where the president can commit a bunch of crimes and apparently no problem.
Yeah.
But in our little Marvel world where, good always triumphs over evil, Thunderbolt Ross is not going to be president after turning into the Hulk.
Right.
I'm just saying, President Steve Rogers.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I think there's a chance. I think there's a very good chance that would happen.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Another call made here. We'll see.
Yeah.
And we only have to wait till what? February something.
Yeah. February 14th.
Cool. Yeah. Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. All right. That's Captain America Brave New World. I guess my next thing, I'm actually going to lump two together just because I have so little to say about this.
Okay.
Rounding out my animated, there is apparently going to be an animated adaptation of George Orwell's Animal Farm. And not only that, it's directed by Andy Serkis.
Oh, wow.
I think that's kind of interesting. Like it's interesting to be adapting this movie in 2025, and particularly with Andy Serkis involved. That's interesting, and I like anything animated. The other thing I wanted to bring up, which I also don't have much to say about, and this is kind of the one that looks the worst to me of anything else on this list, but is a big movie that might likely be one of the biggest movies of the year. So I might as well bring it up. It is a Minecraft movie.
Oh, God.
Jack Black and for some reason, live action human being characters. Now, I actually used to enjoy Minecraft quite a bit. I'm a hipster Minecraft player, though, where I played it.
Minecraft the most successful video game of all time?
I think it might be now. I'm a Minecraft hipster where I believe in 2010 when it was in like alpha or beta mode, and basically only like adult nerds played it as like a more of a building sim kind of a thing. Like they were just starting to introduce stuff like XP and like some more battle mechanic stuff. But I think Minecraft actually is a very great game. Obviously, it's blown up into something no one could have ever imagined. And This movie, I don't know whether it's going to be good or not. It doesn't look particularly good to me. I think it's odd that writers for these big studio movies and trying to adapt franchises cannot seem to fathom any other plot device other than like bringing a real life kid or human being into the world or vice versa.
It looks like such a knockoff of Jumanji.
Yeah, like it's just every movie is Jumanji. It's like it feels like every movie is Jumanji. Like even like to me the most bizarre choice about the Sonic movie, which I did think was good, and I like. Again, I'm hoping that the other ones are going to be even better because I like a lot of decisions with the Sonic movie, but I find it bizarre that it rides on Sonic going to Earth and living on Earth and like making friends with just regular human beings on Earth. Like it's a bizarre crutch that a lot of movies seem to have. And in cases like that movie, it can work. But even like the Super Mario Brothers movie that came out, it's fully animated, but you made them actually live in New York and like teleport and be swept up in this crazy new world of the Mushroom Kingdom. It seems like and I get why writers do it. You want to ground it in something and make it more human, but like in the Lord of the Rings, Frodo doesn't come from New York. Like
I mean, technically he can't. There is no New York.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you can make a completely unique world that only exists like that. You can create a universe where our world does not exist. It's not even a factor. It's a completely fictional universe, completely fictional world, completely fictional everything. Every aspect of it is fictional. And you can do that, and you can still make it a relatable story that people love. If anything, people can love it even more because, it's like that's one of the appeals of fiction to me is completely unique worlds. I gravitate to things with completely unique worlds that exist only in themselves and don't have this crutch of needing to tie in our real world so much. I don't know. I think that's a mistake that is often made. Like I don't need the character that I'm relating to be from the United States or something. Like it just I don't need you to know what a Game Boy is. Like you can it's fine. I can understand new concepts. But yeah, I guess that's my rant about too many things using this kind of narrative crutch. Because I don't know, it's odd. A Minecraft movie could be kind of cool if it was fully animated. It's odd. It's another one of the like Jumanji-esque, throw celebrities in celebrities plus really big franchise name, and that's the concept. That's the movie. But yes, a Minecraft movie.
Yes, on a scale 1 to 10, how hyped are you for Minecraft?
Let's put it this way. The number is sort of shaped like a Minecraft block.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Boy, that trailer was terrible.
Yeah, that was something else.
Yes. All right. Well, I guess I can move on to my next thing then, which is an animated one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it is my most anticipated movie of the year.
Wow.
And it's one that we almost didn't get, but we can get into that in a second. It is The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie.
Oh, wow.
That's right. For the first time, we are getting a fully animated feature-length theatrical Looney Tunes movie, because before you'd have the live action animated combo like Space Jam or Looney Tunes Back in Action. And before that, you had compilation films, which was new footage with the characters, but it was built around the pre-existing shorts of the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Mhm.
This one is the first time we're getting a fully animated one, and I am very excited for it. The Looney Tunes is my favorite animated franchise of all time, and this time we're getting one focusing on Daffy Duck and Porky Pig. I'm very excited about it. And the director of this film is, let me look up his name real quick, because he does have a history with the Looney Tunes. He is, I think, Peter Braungart. I think he did Peter Braungart. That's right. He did Uncle Grandpa. That's what he did before that. But he was involved in the Looney Tunes cartoons that were on Max that came out in 2020. I think they wrapped up in 2023.
Yeah.
So we've seen what he can do with the Looney Tunes, and he's done a great job with the Looney Tunes. So that raises my hype even more for this movie. It's been shown at animation festivals. Everyone who's seen it is saying it's so great. So I am very hyped for it. And we have the good people at Ketchup Entertainment for saving this movie, because, not to go on a whole thing here, but we almost didn't get this movie because of our old friend, the CEO of Warner Bros. Discovery, David Zaslav, who's decided to scrap movies for tax write-offs and for some reason hates animation. Like, he walked in on Yosemite Sam and his wife one time. I don't understand. The guy's a moron, but whatever.
Yeah.
So this was a movie that Warner Brothers wasn't going to distribute. Imagine that. Warner Brothers decided they didn't want to distribute a Looney Tunes movie, which, whatever. Only a few more years until Warner Brothers is bought by Universal and Zaslav is gone.
Yeah.
Counting down. So, Ketchup Entertainment, luckily, they picked up the movie and they're going to distribute it. So we are still getting it. We're still going to see it. It's not just going to be a stupid tax write-off. We're still getting it, and we're getting it in theaters. And I am so hyped for this movie. Everyone says it's great, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
My only disappointment is I wish somehow they could have included Bugs Bunny, but this, let's not just throw in random characters. Let's build a great story around Porky and Daffy. Those two are a great duo, so I think we got something really special here. So before this, had you heard of The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie?
I actually hadn't, and this looks really awesome. Like, I love it. Not only is it a 2D animated feature, but like to theaters too. That's really awesome.
Oh yes, I'm very hyped for it. I cannot wait. It is my most anticipated movie of the year.
Wow. That is, gonna be cool. I guess I will move on then to a category I'm calling "Because I Trust the Director," and that's basically the only all these movies are like just things I'm looking forward to, because not necessarily the premise or anything. It's just I trust the director. Beginning with the next film from director Bong Joon-ho, who directed Academy Award winner Parasite, and not only that, but one of my favorite movies of all time, Snowpiercer. And this next movie is called Mickey 17, starring...
Wow, that one you've been waiting for a while.
Yes. It's coming out March 7th. So, coming out soon. And it stars Robert Pattinson as Mickey. And not just any Mickey, but one of the all the Mickeys, apparently, because this is about the Mickey Barnes, who is Robert Pattinson, signs up to be an expendable, which is a disposable employee where after one iteration dies, a new body is regenerated with most of its memories intact. So essentially, every time he dies, a new Mickey is born. And he eventually to Mickey 17. And then, it's a sort of sci-fi kind of a thing with an interesting premise. And it's Bong Joon-ho doing it. So, yes, I actually, from the trailer and from everything I've heard about it, it actually seems pretty cool.
Oh, yes. So many Mickeys, but yeah, so many Mickeys that we can go through. Maybe by the end, we'll get to Mickey 99 or 100.
Yes, 99 Mickeys on the wall,
Yes.
like the song. Yes, but we'll see. Will Mickey number 17 survive? We'll see in Mickey 17 out March 7th.
Oh, yes. That thing got delayed like many times, right?
I didn't really even follow that, but probably.
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to come out like 2023 and just kept getting delayed and delayed or something.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
All right. These two we can kind of lump together. You know, these three we can lump together because they're short. On March 21st, Disney is giving us another live-action remake of a movie. And this time they're going back to their original movie, Snow White. That's right. This movie stars the girl from West Side Story. I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head. I'll look it up. Also,
Rachel Zegler?
Yes, that sounds right. And we also have Gal Gadot as the evil queen. And it was directed by Mark Webb, who we know from the Amazing Spider-Man film starring Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
So, for me, Snow White, I still think, besides obviously its importance in animation history, being Disney's first animated feature film, I still think it is one of their best movies. Like, you've got the humor, you got the scary moments, like in the forest and all that. The Queen, who becomes the old lady, is, I think, one of the best Disney villains of all time. You know how evil she is? She goes, I mean, has it been a while since you've seen Snow White?
It's been a while, yeah.
She goes to the dungeon, and there's a skeleton there of a guy. There's a skeleton of a guy reaching for water, and she goes thirsty and kicks the thing of water away, and just mocking him as he died from dehydration.
Yeah.
It's cruel.
Yeah.
But that's what makes her one of the best villains.
Yeah.
So I would, a lot of people for different reasons have been like upset that they're doing this movie, kind of like made up their own minds ahead of it.
Yeah.
But the trailer came out. I'm not going to lie. Killed a lot of my enthusiasm. If I could describe this movie in like very short description, what does it look like? Green screen. Nothing looks real.
Yeah.
None of the sets look real. It all looks so fake. And I'm just like, why are we making this movie more expensive than we need to? But there's that. It looks like they're going to be making some changes from the original story, which, whatever. But it's just, I don't know. I kind of, my biggest thing is just like, it looks fake. And they're changing some stuff. I don't know. It just is kind of like, I don't know. Look, it's Mark Webb who did, I think, maybe the best Spider-Man movie in the first Amazing Spider-Man. So who knows? But I'm rooting for it. But there's a part of me is just like, this isn't what I wanted. Like, I don't know. But look, it doesn't matter. In 6 months, we're gonna forget about it. Like, remember how big The Little Mermaid was? We've all forgotten about that.
Mhm.
Remember how big the Aladdin movie was? We all forgot about that. Remember how big the CGI Lion King was? Clearly, we all forgot about that because no one's going to Mufasa. So
Yeah.
there's that. So I don't know. I think we described it earlier. It's kind of like one of those shows you see at Disneyland or Disney World with the live actors. You're like,
Yeah.
it's something to do to pass the time, but it really doesn't matter in the end because once it's over, you'll forget about it right away.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why, we've been talking about these Disney live action remakes since like the beginning of this podcast, and I've still never seen one. So
You know what? We talk about them before they come out. We never bring them up after after they come out.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I don't even know if it's worth asking you about your thoughts about Snow White. But what are your thoughts about the original? Has it been a while since you've seen it?
I pretty much the last time I watched it, I was probably a kid. I was probably pretty young. I definitely remember it being one of the ones I liked a lot and rewatched it quite a bit, but it's been a long time. It's definitely one of them that I liked a lot.
Oh yes, I think of the original Walt Disney era. It's still my favorite one.
That,
The one where the guy himself
yeah,
was alive and working on them.
of course, yeah. Well, yeah. Snow White, I guess.
Yes. I guess real quick, I could lump these two together because I don't really have that much to say about them.
Yeah, sure.
On May 2nd, we have the next MCU movie after Captain America Brave New World, and that's Thunderbolts. That's right. So this movie is going to bring together, it's kind of like Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad. You have the Winter Soldier, Bucky himself, who's probably the most well-known character from that group. You've got John Walker from the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Their dynamic is the thing that I think could make the movie the most interesting. You have the two breakout characters of Black Widow, which were Red Guardian and Florence Pugh's character, Yolanda. And basically, it's kind of Marvel's Suicide Squad. I don't know much about it, but I mean, you got Bucky in there, so that's something to think about.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, we really don't know that much about the movie. Like, I remember at Comic-Con, they just talked about how it was fun to make. So, yeah, I don't really know that much about Thunderbolts, but, there's Bucky. So we'll move on to May 23rd. And that is another Disney live-action remake. My God, they keep coming quicker and quicker.
Yeah.
But this is one that I think is probably going to be the one that does better financially. And that is on May 23rd, we have the live-action remake of Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. So Lilo and Stitch, it's been 21 years. It'll be 22 by the time this movie comes out. It's one of the most beloved Disney movies to come out. I mean, when you go to the parks, if you go to the souvenir section, there's always stuff with Stitch.
And
I mean, I think we got to remember, I mean, it's different for people who were born in like the early 90s to think about, but like if you were later born in the 2000s, I think we got to remember for a long time, Stitch was pretty much the only good Disney movie of the 2000s, not counting Pixar. But like you had like Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis, Home on the Range. It wasn't until Princess and the Frog, which came out, I think, November 2009. So at the very, very end of the decade.
Yeah.
So Lilo and Stitch was basically the only good one of that decade until the very end. So a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for. I remember how it was kind of like the last Disney movie to kind of become this big franchise where you had direct-to-video films, and then they had that TV show that aired on Disney Channel and ABC Kids. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna see it. Maybe I'll wait for it to go on Disney Plus. I just know it's gonna be a one-and-done view, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's nice that Stitch is brought back to the public eye, although in a way he's never really left.
That's true. Yeah, I do have to say, I think Lilo and Stitch really is one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. Like top 3 kind of territory. Like,
oh wow,
one of my favorites. So yeah, but again, like seeing the live action version would be like, am I excited if I'm at Disney World to go see a Lilo and Stitch live action like show? It's sort of like
Yeah.
it's sort of like I'm not going to be. I would be hyped to go to Disney World in general, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not like I want to go to see people dressed up as Lilo and Stitch somehow, and I want to see it in a crappy, like on the street Disney World recreation. Like it's just kind of a nothing. It's just none of them are just anything to get excited about.
Would you have been more excited if they were doing, even if it was just for Disney Plus, an animated sequel or some type of animated thing that just continued from the original?
Yeah, and animated would be more exciting always, especially for something. I do think that there are Disney movies that could hypothetically like make sense to make live action versions of. I don't know that Lilo and Stitch is one of them because you're forced to do a weird CGI Stitch.
Have you seen CGI Stitch?
Yeah, I didn't love what I saw.
It looks better than what it could have been. We'll just put it there.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's a fairly good recreation of how Stitch looks 2D. Like I'm impressed by that, but I don't like to see it.
That's not my Stitch. My Stitch is hand drawn and flat on a piece of paper.
Yeah. So, yeah. I do love Lilo and Stitch. Honestly, of all the Disney live action remakes, this there might be enough of a morbid curiosity and a love for the original to make me check it out of a morbid curiosity, but that's about it.
So the answer is really no.
The answer is no.
Yeah. So they will not be getting your box office dollars this year.
No. In theaters. I saw many movies.
Oh, okay.
Streaming. I'm not doing a good job at supporting movie theaters during this time, that's for sure.
Yes. Let us remember our sponsor for today's episode, AMC Theaters. That's right. We may not go to them all the time, but man, are we happy they still exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I guess, I'll lump those three together.
Okay.
So I guess we can have you move on to your next thing.
Okay. I'll lump another, like, I trust the director ones together because these are a couple I don't have much to say about. So the first is a movie called Warfare, which is an A24 from director Alex Garland. Not something. This is why it's the I trust the director thing, because I would not normally see what is essentially an Iraq war movie, but
does not sound the most fun.
Yes, I would not normally. That wouldn't normally appeal to me, but this is essentially kind of a follow-up project from Alex Garland, who made Civil War, which was on my top movies of 2024.
He made one that quickly, another one that quickly.
And so part of me thinks like,
Matt Reeves takes 5.5 years to make Batman.
Yeah. And by follow-up, I don't mean a sequel or something, but I'm thinking of it as like Civil War was a war movie done by Alex Garland, and now this is another war movie. So it's sort of like he's clearly been in that headspace of like making war movies, and I think that this could be like maybe honing that skill of making a movie of this style. It could be interesting to see his take on a war movie, but in this one, more of, instead of like an alternate history, it's more like an actual part of history.
One that we were alive for.
Yeah.
Unless it's the first one.
No, it's like 2000. It's set in like 2006.
Okay.
But yeah, that's Warfare from Alex Garland. And the next one I'll lump in, I don't know if it's director, but it's people involved, producers. that I have trusted in other things. Nathan Fielder, who I've praised from comedy works such as Nathan For You and The Rehearsal. 2023, it's 2025. So in 2023, I saw the miniseries The Curse, which had Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone. Apparently,
I remember that.
Yes, and I love that series. It's a wild ride, but apparently Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone are going to continue to work together on some level because both of them are together producing a movie called Checkmate. And I don't have much to say about it because there isn't that many details, but it involves chess, I think. So Checkmate. I think it's a chess related movie. Yeah, I mean this feels very made for me in some ways because not only am I a huge Nathan Fielder fan and have just started to check out every project he does, I do kind of like chess. It is a board game kind of, so I do like that premise. But that's about all I have to say on it because there isn't a lot of details yet. If it comes out in 2025, it would be late 2025.
Oh, yes.
All right.
So I guess we'll move on. I'll lump this one that is pretty short with one that is probably going to be one that we talk about the most. So we'll do that.
Okay.
On June 13th, we've got Pixar's next film, Elio, which, if you remember, they put a trailer out for not last year, but the year before, because originally that was supposed to come out last year instead of Inside Out 2.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an alien abduction movie by Pixar. That's really all we know. I'll look up if there's any other information, but
yeah,
not gonna lie, not excited for it. To me, this honestly feels like a bit of a throwaway movie. It just
right.
I don't know. I'm not excited for it. It just I don't mean to talk down, but this looks a little Illumination or DreamWorks. It's not something I would associate with Pixar. It's just to me, it looks like there's just nothing special about it, and I don't know. I'm not excited for it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I nothing jumps out at me to be excited about it, but it does make me think I'm maybe when with those Onward trailers, there was almost a feeling of maybe it's kind of more an Illumination or DreamWorks kind of a thing that, so, there's not no hope, but yeah, I agree. Nothing jumps out at me that this is a particularly unique or exciting thing for Pixar.
Yeah. So I guess since, that was pretty cool, we'll do the one I've been dreading bringing up.
Okay.
That's right. Happy 2025, guys.
Okay.
The one I'm pretty sure you know what it is. It comes out July 11th. It is the first installment of the new DC universe. It is Superman, directed by James Gunn.
Right.
Now, you guys should know I'm not a James Gunn fan.
Mm-hmm.
I said it in our 100th episode. I wasn't saying that just for shock value or joking. When he was announced as the head of DC, there were a couple of days I contemplated either ending this show or leaving it. But then, time moves on. We're just there's still other stuff. But I have been very pessimistic about this whole thing.
Yeah.
So, and then look, we could be a show that just like so many other shows, preferably especially ones that have the hashtag restore the Snyderverse, that just yell and complain about this movie. But I figured I'd do something a little bit different on this episode that we've never done before, which is I do have something I did prepare, and I'll let you see. No,
Okay.
let me know if you can see it or not.
Yeah, you have a presentation here.
I do have a presentation. Are you able to see it? Or
Yes, I can see it. James Gunn's Superman. Why to be hopeful and worried.
yes. So I just tried to take my personal opinion out of it. I tried to look for both reasons why you should be excited for it and why you should also be worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, I say worried for the end because once I say why you should be worried, you'll understand why I can't get excited for this movie.
Yeah.
So I did put this together. And oh, by the way, when I'm going through it, feel free to interrupt at any time. Feel free to interrupt.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll just go through this. Why to be hopeful? Because look, while I am not excited for this movie, there are some positive signs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I should also bring up before we get into it. What has is the trailer a reason to be hopeful or not hopeful? Because they did release a trailer.
Yes.
A few weeks ago. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Yeah, I've seen it.
The trailer does exactly what I thought it would, which is nothing. For a movie with the kind of concerns I'm having, a musical trailer with no dialogue, it kind of left where we were before, which is that it really tells us nothing. So that's why the trailer is pretty insignificant. We're really not going to know much from a trailer until they put out one that has dialogue and gives a hint of what the story will be.
Right.
All right. So why to be hopeful? This, unlike what some other YouTube shows are going to do about they screwed over Henry Cavill, restore the Snyderverse. The thing that works in this movie's favor is that it's a new beginning. This Superman movie is a fresh start without the baggage of the DCEU. And I think it needs to be said. I think we got to point out, okay? Do you remember like a week before Black Adam came out when Warner Brothers just decided, you know what? Our marketing, we're going to advertise that Henry Cavill's in it. Remember? And remember how no one cared?
Right.
It's just, we had to learn the hard way that continuing the DCEU because of the success of Wonder Woman was a mistake. But now that this movie this version is a clean slate, there's no baggage associated with this Superman.
Yeah.
So this Superman has unlimited potential. He could be a great character. It's just a fresh start is always great. It's a clean slate, and that is something honestly that DC movies have needed for a while.
Yeah.
All right. This is a big one. It will feature Clark Kent. Now, the biggest mistake of Man of Steel was having him in the suit most of the movie and saving the traditional version of Clark Kent until the very end. And I swear, if there was one decision that could have drastically changed that movie, I do think it would have been having Clark Kent, the traditional Clark Kent with the glasses throughout the whole movie instead of just him flying around in the suit most of the movie.
Yeah.
Now, in the TV versions, like Superman and Lois, they spend most of their time focusing on the character of Clark Kent, which is when he's the most relatable, just like Peter Parker, right? When you watch a Spider-Man movie, he's not in the suit the whole time. Peter Parker is what makes that character relatable. Spider-Man is the fantasy. It's just like with Superman. Clark Kent, he's just an average guy. I would almost argue more relatable than Peter Parker. He's just an average guy, and Superman is the fantasy. That's the part of it. But the part you relate to is Clark Kent.
Yeah.
All right. It's going to be based on some very beloved comic books. One of them, the one that James Gunn has constantly referenced, is All-Star Superman, which ran from 2005 to 2008. It was by Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely. And it's an Elseworld story which focuses on a dying Superman who's trying to prepare the world to go on without him. Another one that this movie is going to be based on is Superman for All Seasons, a 1998 series by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, which was a companion piece to John Byrne's Man of Steel, which was Superman's official origin story in the comics from 1986 to 2003. Now, why is this storyline so significant? It was the main inspiration for the Smallville TV show, which, outside of the Christopher Reeve movies, is the most beloved version of the character.
Mm-hmm.
The other comic books it's going to be based on are Kingdom Come. And I don't know if you can see, David Cornsweat's Superman logo is straight from the Kingdom Come comic book, except they replaced the yellow with the black.
Yeah.
So that's a 1996 series by Mark Waid and Alex Ross, and it focuses on an older Superman coming out of retirement to lead the classic DC heroes against the next generation of heroes who are reckless and violent. Now, they do have listed a box set, which they did for the Batman as well. Here is a box set of the comic books that the movies are based on. And in that box set includes 1986's Superman, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow by Alan Moore and Kurt Swan, which was the last Superman story before the characters rebooted by John Byrne in Man of Steel. And that Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow graphic novel also contains the storyline for The Man Who Has Everything, which is also written by Moore and by Dave Gibbons, who did the art, where Mongol shows Superman what his life would be like if he never left Krypton. So it's going to be one of those two storylines. I don't know which one it is, if it's Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow or For the Man Who Has Everything, but one of those two is one of the inspirations for the movie.
Okay.
So why should we be worried? Which I love that picture, right?
Yeah.
Why to be worried? Superman with the kryptonite.
Worried. Yeah.
Yes. Uh-oh.
What are this movie's kryptonite?
Yes. The main reason to be worried is the guy behind the camera. That's James Gunn, who is the writer and director of the movie. Now, in the superhero genre, Gunn has only worked on lesser-known characters, which some may say could be beneficial. However, he's never worked on any character with pressure like Superman. Like, no one cared before if Guardians of the Galaxy sucked. No one cared before if the Suicide Squad sucked, because a lot of people already hated the last Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah.
And also his films heavily feature his humor, which most agree wouldn't fit for Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And let's look at Gunn's previous DC and Marvel work, okay? Just go down this list. Guardians of the Galaxy, terrible. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, terrible. The Suicide Squad, terrible. Peacemaker, terrible. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, terrible. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the best of the trilogy, but still, terrible. Creature Commandos, terrible. Everyone is very much like a tone that won't fit for Superman, and look, rightly or wrongly, he has put himself in a specific box, and he needs to get out of that box for Superman, and I don't know if he'll be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing working against it is that James Gunn is not just the writer and director. He has unlimited power because he's the co-head of DC Studios. He can do whatever he wants. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the previous examples of when this has failed with DC, you have Christopher Nolan with The Dark Knight Rises. Now, some people would say, but Nolan did Batman Begins with The Dark Knight, but when he didn't have as much power with those movies like he did with The Dark Knight Rises. And one story they told about was that Warner Brothers told him he had to put the Batmobile in Batman Begins because he didn't want to at first.
Right.
And you also had Zack Snyder with Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, which David Goyer, who was the writer of Man of Steel, talked about how Warner Brothers had some concerns about Man of Steel, but Christopher Nolan, who was a producer, told them, no, just let them do what they wanted. And we saw how that turned out. And also Zack Snyder then went, and when he was given Batman versus Superman, I'm sorry, guys, it's the truth. He went and made a 3-hour R-rated version, which everyone knew wouldn't be releasable. So it wasn't until the last minute they had to go back and change stuff. And we got that hobbled together 2.5-hour mess that was put into theaters. And recently, we had Todd Phillips with Joker Filet-A-Deux, where they let him do whatever he wanted because Joker made $1 billion and was nominated for Best Picture and got Joaquin Phoenix an Oscar. So there's that. Also, when looking at DC Studios as a whole, Peter Safran is going to produce Superman. Now, again, let's look at Safran's previous work with DC. Aquaman, terrible. Shazam? Let's give it to them for that. I don't know how. I don't know how they took the worst superhero of all time and made one of the best DCEU movies, because that's what it was. I don't know how. It shocks me somehow that Shazam became one of the best DCEU movies.
Yeah.
But you continue down the list. The Suicide Squad, terrible. Peacemaker, terrible. Shazam, Fury of the Gods, terrible. Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom, terrible. Creature Commandos, terrible. And also, Gunn has said that this version of Superman is going to be very inspired by the Silver Age, which ran in the comic books from 1956 to 1970. Now, the Golden Age of Superman, which is when the character was first introduced by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, that was a very grounded version of the character. The really only sci-fi thing about Superman was Superman himself. And even then, he couldn't fly. He leaped tall buildings in a single bound. So it was very grounded. It was him fighting gangsters. It was him going to like these evil business people who were screwing over their employees. It was kind of like what we associate Green Arrow with now. He was the champion of the people.
Yeah.
But the Silver Age is when the character very heavily leaned into science fiction, and when I personally feel he was the least relatable. Out of all the different eras, I think that is when Superman was the least relatable. And if I could describe, like, for non-comic book readers, what is Silver Age Superman like? He's kind of like the version from the Super Friends cartoon. That's pretty much what Silver Age Superman was. And look, the Silver Age introduced a lot of great concepts to the Superman mythos that are great additions, and I love having them. Supergirl, Krypto, Metallo, Brainiac, Bizarro. However, back in the day, they were presented as very silly and very goofy, which obviously with James Gunn in charge is a very big concern. Now let's talk about a character who needs to be avoided. Because remember how I mentioned how the movie in the box set brings up whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow comic book storyline? That storyline features the goofiest Superman character as the main villain. He is Mr. Mxyzptlk, an imp from the fifth dimension who annoys Superman. He can be sent back to his home dimension by saying his name backwards, Kiltipsism. Now, Gunn Rain directing the film means, unlike any other filmmaker, there's a chance he could use Mr. Mxyzptlk, especially if he's adapting whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow, which would make the DCU already have jumped the shark. Do not use Mr. Mxyzptlk. And some people may be saying, what? They won't use that. Well, in Peacemaker, which we know is canon to the DCU, they mentioned Batmite, which is basically Batman's version of Mr. Mxyzptlk.
Yeah.
All right. Now, while I love the storylines that they chose to adapt, those storylines are not new reader friendly. Gunn is rebooting Superman by adapting 3 comic book storylines that expects the audience to already know a lot about Superman, his supporting cast, and their history. The only exception being for All Seasons, which was the origin story. And these 3 stories are about Superman towards the end of his career, and Gunn is using them to introduce a younger version of the character. And I do get a little bit concerned that the fact that he's doing these stories will make it so that a new fan won't be able to just come in cold. Like, they'll have had to have watched like every Superman movie to understand what's going on, because it's not going to easily introduce the characters and who they are.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Gunn's mistakes as the co-CEO so far. One of them is beginning the DC universe with guaranteed flops. Clayface is now going to be the 3rd DCU film after Superman and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is just like, that's going to flop. As the 3rd movie, that is a guaranteed flop. And one of the other projects Gunn has announced was a movie of The Authority. Again, that's going to flop. Like, remember, I know Gunn is trying to be like, well, we did Guardians of the Galaxy, but Guardians of the Galaxy came in 6 years after Iron Man and after the Avengers showed that the MCU was a well-running machine. Just going from Superman, Supergirl, Clayface, that movie will flop, and The Authority will flop as one of their first movies. Now, one thing that James Gunn was involved with was the end of The Flash. And that film originally ended with Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne instead of George Clooney's. And I do find it concerning that the reason for the change was simply because Gunn wanted to see how many Batman actors could be added to the film. Because originally you had it with Michael Keaton, and then once David Zaslav and Discovery took over, and they had plans for bringing back Henry Cavill as Superman with Black Adam, they decided that they wanted to do a new ending where they would have Keaton, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and they also would show Supergirl to show that she, just like Keaton's Batman, survived the events of The Flash. But then Gunn decided that to change that ending because he didn't want to end with Cavill and Gadot to hint that they would be coming back at all, which I find an odd choice because everyone knew they weren't coming back. So instead of just going back and doing the Michael Keaton ending, which made narrative sense, they got George Clooney only because he wanted to do fan service and see how many Batman he could fit in there. He's also creating confusion about what is canon to this new DC universe. Instead of doing a full reboot, Gunn is carrying over some elements of the DCEU like Peacemaker and Blue Beetle. He also, now, back when he announced the full slate of the DCEU, he said that the events of The Flash would reset the DCU, but it appears that movie's not canon. So we've already created some confusion there. Gunn has also said that references made in the projects would make parts of the DCEU canon. So it sounded like it was a reboot, but if they reference the first Wonder Woman movie, even though we've rebooted, that Wonder Woman movie kind of becomes canon. It's just, there's created so much confusion about what is now canon to this DC universe because Gunn is bringing stuff over like Peacemaker.
Yeah. I will say that slide is the most worrisome to me because it all just makes it seem very messy.
Yeah. So, another one mistake he's made is the title The Brave and the Bold. Now, that is a title that may be a fun reference for comic book fans. However, it doesn't tell the average audience member that it's their Batman movie. And also, the title The Brave and the Bold, it's not relevant to the storyline it's adapting. I mean, and I know it's a title, but like, even when we did our DC special, you didn't know Brave and the Bold was supposed to be a Batman movie.
Right, yeah.
So they need to change that title. And this was just like, it's just going to be, this final one just shows we're in the same place we were, except now everything's connected, movies, TV, and games. We don't have another version to save the ship, the sinking ship. Gunn has said that announcing a project does not guarantee it will actually happen. Here's his quote via Threads. Just to clarify, I said everything we originally announced was still in development, not that it's still coming. That all depends on the scripts. We'll never put a half-assed script in production just because it was announced. So, The Authority, no guarantee it will happen. Brave and the Bold, no guarantee it will happen. And it's just like, why are you announcing projects if you don't have a finished script? What is the point of that? It's just, it feels like the old DCEU, back when they announced so much stuff that never happened.
Yeah.
So here are my predictions for Superman. I think that the movie is going to be criticized for Gunn's humor and not being easily accessible to new fans. I don't think it's going to be overwhelmingly positive. My guess is going to be mixed to negative. Probably more like in range of the first Aquaman movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow will suffer from the Superman criticisms. Clayface is a guaranteed flop, and I think anything before The Brave and the Bold will flop at the box office. And here's what I'm going to say. If The Brave and the Bold is not one of the next 3 movies to follow Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, WB is going to scrap the DCEU due to the film's underperforming. So I don't think they're going to drag this out like they did the DCEU. I think all it's going to take is 3 flops and they're done.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thoughts about Superman, the DCU. There's really not much to say about the trailer. I thought, again, the music trailer was all stuff we'd seen in Superman Returns and Man of Steel. I thought the crypto stuff was corny, but whatever. So I guess after that, I'll turn to you, and who knows what. We'll get your thoughts. What are your thoughts about James Gunn's Superman and I guess the overall DCU now that is coming soon to a theater near you?
Well, I have my own presentation, and here's why you should be even more worried. No, honestly, my only real thoughts was that because the trailer doesn't give a ton, but I think my only real thoughts was that the trailer does at least hint to me style choices that I personally like more than Man of Steel. But that's about it. I really don't know how. I do worry that it will not be as grounded as something like Smallville, and that it would be more like Superman but Guardians of the Galaxy. And I love the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. I think it works as a sci-fi franchise, but that's different than saying that I think that would work for Superman, which I don't think it would at all. So yeah, the worry would be more that it's like a Guardians of the Galaxy style sci-fi, like in like a sci-fi comic book movie, but it's Superman this time. That would be a mistake. I do think I'd be maybe a little more hopeful that even if it is something like that, it could be something that is generally well liked by a lot of people in general audiences. But I wouldn't have much hope that that would translate into a healthy long-term franchise that's setting up an entire universe. So that is where I would start to think that it would fall apart. But I guess my overall takeaway is that I feel hopeful that I'd like it more than that I would say probably going to like it more than Man of Steel is with as little as we know, but that is saying so unbelievably little. Just because I think on a basic stylistic level, I can get behind it more than I can get behind Man of Steel. But that's as much positivity as I can say about it at the moment because I just don't have a lot of information, and a lot of the development does still seem sloppy in a way where it feels like what's being marketed as like this breath of fresh air, fresh start feels too good to be true. It feels like it's more than likely going to be a sloppier thing than that. So
yeah. So I guess by this time next year, do you think that Superman will be looked at positively or negatively? If you had to just take a guess of what you know now.
If I had to really place a bet on it, I think that something like what I said, where like I don't do we want to do Rotten Tomatoes score bets on like what we think it'll be? I think yours would be lower than mine is what but I think what it would be, I think that it will get like 68% on Rotten Tomatoes. So like a fairly low positive. Which is to say that I think that arguably, does that mean that Superman is viewed positively?
It's kind of more mixed at that point.
Yeah, but yeah. So I don't know. What do you think?
I think right now I'm guessing about 62.
Okay. Yeah.
Like what was Aquaman? Because I think it's kind of going to be something like that.
Yeah, like 60 or something. I don't know.
Aquaman has like 65, so I think about probably 62.
Okay.
But like even now, like Aquaman is viewed pretty negatively.
Yes. Yeah, that changes. Uh, well, I guess if it were in that range of like, I would say my range of guesses would be like 68 to maybe 75. But that's not like a universal acclaim kind. Even 75 would not be like a universal acclaim where you're looking at people calling it like a classic Superman movie
Yeah.
that like reinvigorates a franchise. Um, so even if by the end of the year people are like, that Superman movie was pretty good, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate into, you know, what it needs to translate into. So I guess I would say that Superman would be viewed about the same as it currently is. Basically, in that I think it might not do a lot at all, which is to say, it might not do enough to make people think like this character is just bad. But I would say probably the current sentiment is like, this is obviously of important major character in fiction, but a lot of people feel the character seems silly or that it won't work today. And a lot of people agree that it's a really, like, a lot of people see the good in it. So I think Superman feels like kind of a mixed character on some level, mostly liked. And I think this movie probably will not do a lot to change it unless we're completely wrong and um it's just an absolutely amazing movie that does do all the things it set out to. But my guess would be that it would do almost nothing to change the current view of Superman. But maybe you think that it might actually damage it more than I do.
I think, I mean, look, we're coming off of like this will be the third attempt in less than 20 years to try to launch a film franchise again after Superman Returns, Man of Steel, and now this one.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, like, they need, if they want to have a DC universe, this has got to be like the first Iron Man level. Like, this has got to be No Way Home level. Like, like it has pressure, rightfully so. This needs to be one of the best superhero movies ever made.
Yeah.
Because if it's like okay, that's not going to be enough this time. Especially with how the genre is right now. Like that's going to kill it. That's going to kill this whole universe. And so I guess I'll ask you, what do you think now that we're getting close to Superman, what do you think about the whole DC universe as a whole under James Gunn? Because I don't think it's gonna, now that we've heard about what projects we're gonna get and we've seen a little bit about Superman, I don't think it's gonna be a success. I think 7 years I'm giving it max before it ends. And that's me being generous. I think 3 flops, it's done.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what are your thoughts about the future of the DC universe now that it's here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I know so little now, and I have so little information that I really can't say anything with confidence, but I would say that I think maybe a hopeful part of me thinks that decisions were made to maybe moderately improve things from where it was, but I don't think that enough is being done to really invigorate it and like breathe completely new life into it and feel like we're really rebooting this. And some of the things you presented made it clearer that it's just very sloppy at the current moment. So I would venture to say that while some okay movies might come out of this, it won't be groundbreaking enough to give it legs for the coming like decade. I think it will run out of steam very quickly because the movies will be just too okay to give it a longer life. But that is still saying that I think it might be better than some previous DCEU movies.
Yeah. So I guess the last question before we get into Superman, I've touched about this a little. Do you think, because comparing it to the DCEU, which we know they tried course correcting many times, if James Gunn's Superman is a critical disappointment, if Supergirl is a critical disappointment, will they try course correcting? Will they spend a decade trying to course correct like last time? Or will they pull the plug fairly quickly this time compared to last time? Because last time, the DCU lasted for a decade where they kept trying to course correct. Do you see them trying to course correct? Or under David Zaslav, who cancels movies like that, will they scrap it?
Yeah, maybe it'll just all vanish when if it does really poorly. Like it might just all be like this entire thing is gone. I guess I could see that, like that they won't. But again, like I feel like continuing to try, even though they've failed and course correcting along the way, would be a mistake, and they make mistakes all the time. So like, seems almost equally likely to me.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to try. I think they learned their lesson last time, because even with Black Adam, that bringing back Henry Cavill wasn't good enough. The Flash bringing back Keaton and Affleck wasn't good enough. I think that they kind of learned their lesson. Like, once you lose them, like the DCEU, it died with Batman versus Superman. That killed it. There was no recovery after that.
Yeah.
So just like how Sony pretty much died with Morbius. Like there was no recovery after that. So yeah, we'll see. So now that we took up a bunch of time about Superman, what's your next thing?
Yes. I won't have as much to say about it, certainly. Is we're gonna pivot to someone I think should have taken over an entire franchise and been the entire sole arbiter of everything that happens in that entire franchise for an entire trilogy. That's right. Rian Johnson.
Hey, it's never, that trilogy's never been officially canceled. It's still somewhere in the books.
That's true. But we're not talking about Star Wars. We're talking about the third in the Knives Out franchise. This next upcoming 2025 movie is called Wake Up Dead Man, which is Rian Johnson returning to do another movie with Daniel Craig as Detective Benoit Blanc. That is right. A new Knives Out mystery, which is a franchise I'm turning out to really like, as some really fun mystery movies. Yeah. So very much looking forward to that. Not a lot of details, and I don't want to know details about it.
Yeah, especially for a mystery movie.
Exactly. So that actually ends my non-horror sections. So we're getting spooky from here on out for the last few that I have. But yeah, what's your next one?
All right, my next one is, well, I'll lump it with this one because I don't have much to say about it. On July 18th, we're getting the Smurfs movie. That's right, this time fully animated.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I was never really a Smurfs person. It aired early in the morning on Cartoon Network. I just never got into it. Did you ever get into Smurfs?
No, never got into Smurfs, really.
All right, well, then we're done with
that's about it. Yeah.
All right, then we'll go on to my most anticipated Marvel movie of the year. Sorry, Smurf fans. I know you're on the edge of your seat.
Smurf heads, you're going to have to find a new podcast.
Right now, yeah. Let the tears wipe away your blue makeup as you're so sad. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's it. What can you say, Smurfs? All right, my most anticipated Marvel movie comes out July 25th. That is the Fantastic Four First Steps. This is the superhero movie I'm most anticipating. I love how, even though it's connected to the MCU via multiverse. It's really its own vision by Matt Shankman, who was the director of WandaVision, which is a show I watched not knowing what to think, but like overall, it was one of their better shows. And having him take over, because in WandaVision, it showed like different time eras, and having him take over this futuristic 1960s vision for the Fantastic Four is real exciting. Fantastic Four has always been one of my favorite Marvel groups. I enjoyed the old 2000s movies with Chris Evans and Jessica Alba. Thing has always been my favorite Fantastic Four character.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing I'm a bit concerned about is Galactus being in it, because sorry guys, look, I know we all love everything from the comics, but Galactus is kind of dumb. He's a giant purple guy who eats planets. Yeah. But I'm still looking forward to it. We got Fantastic Four in the hands of Matt Shankman, who I thought did probably the best version of WandaVision you could possibly have, which I didn't love WandaVision, but overall I thought was pretty good. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. And if, it was brought up before about, when can we say that Marvel Studios is back? Because a lot of this stuff isn't really MCU. When can we say Marvel Studios is back? If Daredevil, coming off of X-Men 97 and Deadpool and Wolverine, if Daredevil is good and Fantastic Four First Steps are good, we can happily declare Marvel Studios is back. We will, and I'm going to pitch it right now. We will have a big celebration party that
yes.
Marvel is back, because my biggest regret about this show is that we started at like the worst possible time.
Yeah.
We started like a month or two before Spider-Man Homecoming, which was the biggest disappointment at the time. And then we saw them starting to fall off the cliff. But now we will celebrate, and we will have a big freaking party that Marvel Studios is back, if it's good.
Yeah.
And if it's good, that is something to celebrate, because this group will be back in the next two Avengers movies, this time in the hands of the Russo brothers. So
yeah,
Fantastic Four, my most anticipated superhero movie of the year. So
yeah,
I'm really looking forward to it.
It sounds like either way we'll have to have a Fantastic Four special.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts about the Fantastic Four First Steps?
Yeah. You know what we should really do is set up a one box for if it's good and one box for if it's bad, and record an episode for each one, just like Michael Scott when he's trying to figure out whether Holly's engaged. Yeah. But yeah, this is also my most anticipated Marvel thing for this year, I guess. I like that it feels like a separate thing, and I can kind of I can hope for a more I have more hope that this will feel like a breath of fresh air amongst Marvel movies than I do Superman being a breath of fresh air amongst DC movies. I have more hope for this, and I don't even necessarily have that much attachment to the Fantastic Four franchise, but I do think it's characters that I think have a lot of potential. So yeah, very excited and hoping that it does mean we have a new core to kind of root for to in the MCU.
Oh yes.
So Fantastic Four First Steps.
That's right. I still prefer the old title, just the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, like 60s Walk on the Moon, I don't know.
Yeah.
The Fantastic Four was such a nice title.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. But I guess I will move on to my next thing, unless you have more to say on Fantastic Four.
No, that was pretty much it.
All right. So my next thing, like I said, the rest of the things I have on here are horror related. A lot of the movies I watch are horror, so that's I usually am in that bubble, so I hear about a lot of horror stuff. The first, I'm gonna rattle off a big chunk of movies because they all I noticed were related. It looks like 2025 is going to be a big year for like classic monster stuff, as far as I can tell. Although, so like vampires, werewolves, Frankenstein, zombies, so stuff like that. The first thing I want to bring up is just kind of a not even really it's not a 2020, it's a 2024 thing, but I want to give a heads up that like basically my most anticipated movie of the year, Nosferatu, I'm gonna watch it like next week, I think. It did come out on Christmas, but to highlight how we are entering a time of these of classic monster type stuff, I wanted to bring up Nosferatu, which is getting really incredible reviews and looks amazing, but I'm just gonna watch it any day now. Nosferatu being a vampire story from the classic, very, very, very old silent vampire film. But in 2025, we have January 17th, so this one was quite soon, Wolfman, based on, I think, kind of based on the 1941 film The Wolfman, which is basically a Universal Monsters movie. I would venture to guess from the name having to do with a werewolf.
Oh, yes.
So it's a classic werewolf tale about like a father who is finding some stuff going on with him. He's going through puberty. No. But that's Wolfman. Next, two different Frankenstein movies coming out this year. We've got The Bride, which is the bride like the Bride of Frankenstein, coming September 26th. And we have Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. That's right. Guillermo del Toro is going to direct his own Frankenstein tale, and I'm very excited to see his take on Mary Shelley's classic. Lastly, back with the director Alex Garland, who did Civil War and is doing the upcoming movie Warfare. There's continuing that franchise. He started the franchise. One of his earlier films is 28 Days Later. And I rewatched that in last year in 2024. And it was way better than I remembered. I actually think it's definitely deserves to be considered one of the best zombie movies. We are getting that series continuing with 28 Years Later. So yes, there you go. It's vampires, werewolves, Frankenstein, zombies.
Oh yes, the core group.
That is right. So it's going to be 2025 is going to be a big year for that. Expecting everyone to dress up as Nosferatu on Halloween in 2025. Yes. So that is my chunk of monster horror movies.
Oh, yes.
How many more do you have?
I have 1, 2, 3. I technically have 6, but let's see. 1, 2, 3. 3 of them will be lumped together.
Okay. I have like 7, so we're actually pretty close to even on this, actually. So yeah, go ahead and bring up your next one.
All right, my next one is a sequel to an anime movie that I was really surprised by, and that's The Bad Guys 2. That's right. So DreamWorks did it. I really enjoyed the first one. It was one that I kind of just went because I liked the character designs. So
yeah,
like, this looks interesting, and I thought it was a really fun heist movie. I really liked this group of characters, and now we're getting a sequel where their past is coming and knocking.
Oh, yeah.
So, not much to know about it, but The Bad Guys has become one of my favorite franchises from DreamWorks. Obviously, not this episode, but next time we do this, we can talk about the big guy coming back, Shrek.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's something to look forward to. I mean, look, none of the DreamWorks movies are as strong as Shrek. But I think like recently, it feels like DreamWorks has really been making a comeback. Like they've been putting out some really strong stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm looking forward to that, which comes out August 1st. August 8th, I'll lump this together. We have a sequel, which I'm like, why are you making this? It is too late for a sequel to this. And that is Disney's Freakier Friday. That's right. Do you remember Freaky Friday?
I do. Yeah.
Well, it's going to happen again.
But even freakier.
Yes, even freakier. That's right. Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are coming back. And I'm just like, why? Aren't we too late for this? Isn't your target demo a little too old for what this movie is going to be?
Yeah.
You know what? I hope that the people who go see it enjoy it, but I'd be lying if I said that I was excited for it. It feels it's going to be theatrical. I am shocked it's not going straight to Disney Plus.
Right.
That
that's
to me
surprising.
is shocking. So, I mean, hey, look, there are going to be some people hyped for it, and I hope they enjoy it. My memory of Freaky Friday was going to Studio 28. That's right. Remember Studio 28? At one time, it was the world's largest movie theater.
Yeah, good old Studio 28.
Yeah. I remember going there. And this whole story makes me sound so old, but it's true. Sitting there, and the picture was moving weird, and it turned out like something went wrong with the film strip and the projector. So we had to sit there and wait for like 20 minutes as they had to figure it out. So that's my memory of Freaky Friday.
Wow,
so,
interesting.
Am I excited? Not really. Will I watch it? Probably not. But there are going to be some people who are looking forward to it, and I hope that they enjoy it. Do you have a nostalgia for Freaky Friday, and how are you controlling your hype as you count down the days to see them switch places once again?
Wow. I mean, I would say on a technical level, I guess I do have some nostalgia for it because I did watch it when I was younger, and that's what nostalgia is.
Yes.
Which like, look, I was a kid with absolutely zero discerning of any, like, I just liked anything I watched. So I do remember liking it. That's not to say I don't like it now. I just don't know what I would feel now if I were to rewatch it. So yeah, no hate to it whatsoever, but it does feel a little like, does everything need to be, do we need to make a nostalgia part 2 of every single movie ever? It's kind
of more important, do we need a nostalgic sequel that your target audience has outgrown?
Yeah. Don't know about that. So, but yeah, again, maybe a fun movie-going experience for people who feel particularly nostalgic about that very specific movie.
Yeah, I hope they enjoy it, and that's really all I have to say about Freakier Friday.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, my next one is another movie like probably dozens and dozens of movies out there based on a Stephen King writing. But this is a Stephen King short story called The Monkey. The movie The Monkey is coming out February 21st. And I don't know that I ever read this particular short story. I'm trying to remember which Stephen King short story collection it is part of. If it's in Skeleton Crew. So yeah, I have not read Skeleton Crew.
It's also a Star Wars show.
Yeah, that's true. Night Shift is very good by Stephen King. That's a great short story collection. But yeah, so The Monkey involves these brothers finding a creepy vintage toy monkey with the symbols, and some awful things start to happen after they find it. So it's a cursed monkey. Yes, so should be interesting. It is, I believe, from Neon, which after I saw Longlegs from Neon, kind of made me want to start looking to them as like a good maker of horror movies, but we'll see. I don't have a ton to go off currently except for Longlegs, but this is The Monkey.
Oh yes.
And that
Is
is
that
yeah, that's all I have to say about the monkey.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'll lump these two together real quick. On October 3rd, we're getting a musical biopic or a biopic about a musician. And this musician is going to moonwalk his way into theaters. That's right. It's Michael, the Michael Jackson biography. Not autobiography, because he wasn't behind the camera making it. Biography. Yeah. That's
unless he's really still alive, man.
That's right. He's with Elvis.
Yeah.
All right. So, look, obviously, with everything on Michael Jackson, the dude had a very interesting life.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting tale. Obviously, went to some very dark places. But and really, when you talk about one of the most famous musicians or pop stars of all time, he's one of the big guys. He's one of the big faces of music. So that's interesting. One thing that I'm not sure what to think about is I believe his nephew is going to play him.
I was just seeing that when I looked it up. Yeah, it's a relative. It's a Jackson.
Yeah, which I'm just kind of like, look, maybe the dude, I don't know if he's done any acting before. No, this is his first one.
Interesting.
Look, maybe he'll be great. Maybe. But I'm a little bit like, I don't know. I do find it a little concerning that the family is so involved in this story, in putting this movie together. Like, maybe it's not gonna be the most interesting story it could be if it's just gonna be through rose-colored glasses.
Right, that's true. Yeah, they're probably maybe not gonna they're not gonna teeter-totter on the edge of any controversy, perhaps.
Yeah.
Playing it safe.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? They may not even do any of the difficult relationship he had with his father. Maybe it'll be just like the classic sitcom dad. Hey kids, how was the recording session today? Oh, yeah. Michael, I know you got something special in your future. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It could be interesting. It could be an interesting movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts about the movie, which is just called Michael.
Right. No, I mean, I didn't know that this was something being made. But I mean, look, it's a person definitely very, it's a very storied life. And so that, of course, makes for a good topic for a biopic kind of movie like this. So I do think that's really interesting.
All right, so I guess I'll move on to my next thing. So I'm lumping these two together.
Yeah.
On November 21st, who's ready to return to Oz? That's right, because the second part of Wicked's coming into theaters. Wicked, subtitled for good. That's right. It's not just part 2 anymore.
Yeah.
It's its own separate thing. So it's kind of hard for me to talk about what to expect in Wicked for Good because I've never seen the musical and I really don't feel like looking up what happens in what to expect in the movie.
Yeah.
Look, the first one was really good. It did a good job of setting up the Wicked Witch of the West and Glinda. Obviously the performances were great. And it did leave us on, while it is still a full movie with a beginning, middle, and end, it did end us on a little bit of a cliffhanger, which will be exciting to see how they wrap that up. I have seen online, and look, this is just me scrolling through social media, okay? I have seen online people talk about, they've read up about what the second half is about, and it's not as strong.
Oh, okay.
And there's some disappointing stuff. I don't know if this is a fair comparison, but I'll just bring this up. Into the Woods. Have you ever heard of Into the Woods?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, that was a story that back in high school, that was one of the first plays I did was Into the Woods.
Yeah.
We did the first half, which was the fun story about this baker and his wife. They're trying to get a baby, and they bump into all these fairy tale characters. And we were like, wow, this is awesome. What we didn't know was we were doing the first half.
Yeah.
Because in the second half, there's a lot of death. There's a lot of like unhappy endings. It basically it's almost like Joker and Joker 2. It just like, wow, look at that. And then in the second half, you're like, no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I remember when the movie came out, there were so many people who were just like, well, the first half was good, and then it just kept going and kept getting worse and worse and worse.
Wow.
And let me look up. I wonder if the guy who did Into the Woods is the same one who. Oh, he is. It looks like he is. Oh no. Oh no, it's not him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not him. Thank God. But yeah. So we'll see. Maybe Wicked Part 1 is its own standalone good prequel to The Wizard of Oz. But
yeah.
We'll see. I'm interested in seeing where they go with it, and who knows. I mean, look, people still like the musical. It just maybe the first half is better, but who knows? We'll see what happens. Cross our fingers that it's good.
Yeah, I'm crossing my fingers, but again, it's for other people. I hope the people who want to see it enjoy it.
Yes.
I will move on to a few that I'm going to lump together for not having many details about them. I think this one's coming out somewhat sooner, but one movie that I really don't know much about at all, but just looks like it's a movie with a fairly good response from a very prolific director who is doing a sort of some kind of spooky house sounding kind of a movie called Presence from director Steven Soderbergh. So this is a movie starring Lucy Liu, and they move into a new house and discover they are not alone, which makes it sound like a haunted house movie. I've heard that some reactions to it are people saying like it's more of a family drama than it is like a horror movie. But if anything, that makes me more excited about it because I don't know, a lot of the best horror or adjacent to horror types of films explore something deeper beyond, you know, monsters and ghouls and ghosts and stuff.
Like it.
So, yeah, but this probably is going to be more subtle.
Oh, okay.
Probably, yeah, like people said, a family drama with sort of a looming dread over the whole thing. But it sounds very good. The next two that I'm lumping together are things I'm interested in because of the director. There's a movie coming out called Bring Her Back, which I only have my eye on because there is the new movie from the directors of Talk to Me, which was my favorite movie of 2023. But apparently the plot is too secret to reveal anything about. There is not one single thing about this movie except that it's called Bring Her Back. And then finally, I brought it up earlier this year. It didn't come out in 2024. It's supposedly coming out in 2025, potentially I heard in the spring, but there's still no dates. So I don't know, but it's Eddington, which is the next Ari Aster movie, which is a Western black comedy film that follows Joaquin Phoenix as a small town New Mexico sheriff, which I talked more about in a previous episode. But if it does come out in 2025, it's one of my most anticipated movies of 2025. But we're just waiting to see if it actually finally comes out. So that's some movies I lumped together. So very excited. All right.
I guess I'll lump these two together, and these are my last two.
Okay.
November 26th, we are getting a sequel to what I think is the best Disney animated movie easily of the past 10 years. And I should probably look up. I believe it happened in the past 10 years.
It's definitely on the edge
2016. That's when it
there.
happened.
Yeah.
It is Zootopia 2. That's right. So I'm looking forward to it. I think, yeah, easily it is the best Disney movie of the past 10 years. You know what? I was really looking forward to that TV show they were going to do, and boy, did it suck. It was 6 5-minute shorts.
Oh.
And half of those shorts were footage from the movie.
That's okay.
Yeah, it was. Well, I would just say there was not much ever put into that. But
yeah,
we have the sequel, and here's a little the premise of the movie. Detectives Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde must go undercover in Marsh Market to crack the case when they find themselves on the twisting trail of a mysterious reptile. So undercover type story. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, I remember when they announced that they were doing. I think it was last year or the year before, where they announced they did the. In one day, they announced they were doing Zootopia 2, Frozen 3, and Toy Story 5. And obviously, Toy Story obviously caught my eye the most. But then after that, I was like, Zootopia 2, finally!
Yeah.
So
yeah, this very deserving movie of a sequel.
Yeah, I really like it. I think it's such a unique movie from the Disney's others. It's not just a princess musical fairy tale. It's a animal buddy cop comedy movie. So I'm really looking forward to it. So what are your thoughts about Zootopia 2 coming out this year?
Yeah, I also think Zootopia is great. And it's a deserving movie of a sequel. I think that there's definitely more to explore in that world. The premise sounds really interesting. I like the undercover angle. It's cool.
Oh, yeah. So I guess I'll go on to my last movie.
Yes.
It is what is obviously going to be a big movie. December 19th. We are getting probably another $2 billion movie of this franchise. It is Avatar Fire and Ice. That's right. So last year, I sat down and watched the first Avatar for the first time.
Really? Okay.
Yes. I was like, you know what? And I was dreading it. I was not excited to watch. I was like,
yeah.
Let's get this over with.
Yeah.
I watched. I'm like, you know what? This isn't just not bad. This is pretty good. Now, personally, I don't understand how it got to be the #1 box office movie of all time.
Yeah.
Like, in the fight between Avengers Endgame and Avatar, I am Team Avengers Endgame. But, I still enjoyed Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
2 was okay. 2 was kind of like, I feel like we kind of covered this already.
Okay.
But they have Fire and Ice coming. What is there that we can talk about? Not much besides the title Fire and Ice.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it because I'm just like, the first one was pretty good, but I really felt by number 2, we kind of stretched us as far as we can go.
Yeah.
So, hopefully it's good. I hope it won't happen, but I would hope it's a bit shorter. But
yeah,
I'm expecting this movie to probably make $2 billion once again because why not? Because why not? It seemed like no one was excited for the second one, and then just out of nowhere, it grossed $2 billion. So
yeah,
I'm assuming that'll probably happen again. So
probably,
yeah. So, any thoughts about Avatar Fire? Not just fire, but fire and ice.
And ice. That's crazy.
Well, yang right there.
I will say first of all, I am not fair to Avatar. I'm not fair to it at all. It's not cool to not like something because it's popular. And honestly, the first time I saw it, I was so overwhelmed with just like, this is the highest grossing movie. I was so overwhelmed with that I couldn't enjoy it. It's so unbelievably bland to me. I don't get it. It's just pretty visuals and that's it. I don't like it. So
you didn't like how it's pretty much a knockoff of Pocahontas or Dances with Wolves.
Yeah, or wait, what was it? Is it Fern Gully that I'm thinking of? I don't know, but it's a knockoff of
Fern Gully. Oh my god, does that movie suck?
I don't.
Is that the cartoon?
I've never seen it, but I know that that's the plot.
Oh my god, is that the one with Robin Williams?
It might be. I don't know. I just know that people have said that the plot is similar to Avatar.
I watched Fern Gully, and my god, did I regret every minute of it. It's truly awful.
Wow.
It was one of those movies that, like, look, I appreciate their message of protecting the forest, but guys, let's be a little subtle and tell a story before just bashing over our heads with a message.
Oh yeah.
My god, did you not have much of a premise? And not even Robin Williams could save that movie. It was I should probably look up just to make sure I'm talking about the right movie.
You probably are. That's yeah. But
Fern Gully, The Last Dream. Oh yeah, that piece of crap. Oh, I hated it.
Yeah. Well, I don't have much to say about Fern Gully because I've never seen it, but I hate Avatar, and I hate to say it because I know a lot of people like it. But to me, it's like it almost seems like it's a fluke, like just a very successful marketing trick that it became the highest grossing movie ever because it was
happened twice.
It just feels like the marketing trick was essentially like, these are the best graphics ever. And that was the whole marketing trick. It's like when the Sega Genesis was like, this is the fastest console. And it's like, what does that mean? I don't care. I'm going to buy it. I don't even know what a microchip is, but this is the fastest one. I'm going to buy it. To me, it was just like, these are the best visuals. And that was enough. That was enough for it to become the highest grossing film ever. The premise isn't strong enough to have like a Star Wars-esque franchise around it. You can't make a land out of it. Like
technically they did at Disney, I think.
That's what I was commenting on. Yeah, it's absurd that there is an Avatar land.
You're telling me you closed down Muppet 3D, but you did Avatar Land? You monsters.
So, I am just absolutely not going to see Avatar 3. So I'm not even like most of these things I say, maybe if I accidentally have it on, I just am not even going to bother to watch 2 or 3 ever, probably.
Once was enough.
Yeah. And again, it's not even that I hated it. It's just that it was like right down the middle. It was, and I complain when other people do this. Sometimes I actively complain when other people do this, but I do this with Avatar, which is like, I got a 5 out of 10 and I felt like it was a 0 out of 10 because it was like, I was expecting a 10. I got a 5. And so it feels like a 0.
Were you excited to watch it? Were you like, oh my God, this is it. This is the big guy.
I would say I wasn't excited, but it was just like, I'm going to watch a movie tonight. It's Avatar. I wasn't negative going into it, but I wasn't ever hype about it, which is why I never saw it in theaters. That obviously would have affected my, like, a lot of people talking so highly about it is because they saw these breathtaking visuals in theaters. And I saw it
in 3D.
Yes. And
I up the price tag of the ticket.
Yes. But yeah, so I did not have that opportunity. I just saw it. I rented it again from Family Video or something.
Did you get the 3D edition or just the standard one? Nope, no 3D.
Nope. And probably at that time, maybe on an old like TV that's in 4:3, but I watched it in widescreen, so they're black bars.
Oh, it's so tiny.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that used to frustrate me so much. I remember getting on DVD Free Willy. Let me tell you, popping that disc in and being like, why is it so small?
Yeah.
What is wrong with the TV?
Yeah. It's funny how
ripped off.
that really is a whole like wanna feel old thing. Where just like these kids won't understand that you had to make sure the movie came in full screen.
Yes. And now, if you have full screen DVDs, you regret it. You're like, why did
Yeah.
I do this? Now the picture's all cropped with this pan and scan crap.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, obviously, we were not enough TVs were actually widescreen at the time. So,
In retrospect, they really should have not done the full black bars, but they could have at least come in half so that you just have
yeah.
on, because that's what the Batman movies, the Burton Schumacher Batman movies, they didn't go as small as those ones did. They
Yeah.
just did like a TV show.
Right.
That's what they should have done. And once we all got to our normal, the HD TVs, then you do tiny bars. But
Yes.
that was just, it was cruel. It was cruel. And it was very cruel when that was the only option for some movies they would give you.
Yeah. But yes, I guess that will bring me to the last things that I have to bring up. Which will be I kind of ended up with all things that I don't have much to say about. But I do want to end it with one that is just funny to me.
Okay.
So we'll end it with that one, but here are a few other things I'm looking forward to. There's a movie called Death of a Unicorn, which has Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega, and seems like a sort of horror adjacent thing where they accidentally crash into an actual real life unicorn and things go poorly afterwards. I'm also looking forward to They Follow, which is a sequel to a film from 2014. So that's 11 years in the making. The film It Follows, which at the time, It Follows was like, there was no, like, that was like the highest brow horror movie that I knew of at the time. Like before then, all of a sudden stuff like Get Out and like Hereditary and Midsommar, all these other horror movies started coming out. But It Follows at the time was like one of the only ones of that caliber. As time has gone on, I wouldn't still place it as highly in my regards as I do now, but I still love the premise of like these entities that look like just regular people just following around until they get you, just slowly following you. And yeah, this is They Follow. Next is interesting. So there is a movie coming out April 25th called Until Dawn. And what's interesting about this to me is there's a horror video game called Until Dawn. That's what this movie's based on.
Oh, okay.
The thing is that Until Dawn is basically a movie already. It's like, like Telltale games or something where it's basically just a movie and you just get to choose what Until
I
Dawn.
enjoyed the Batman one a lot.
Yeah, and I also, one of my favorite game franchises, Life is Strange, is kind of in that vein too, where it's mostly you're choosing important decisions for the characters. It kind of feels like an interactive movie in a way. Yeah. Until Dawn is that. It's press a button to choose what you want to do in this movie, practically. So it's kind of interesting that they're adapting what is essentially a movie game. But I did really enjoy the Until Dawn game, and I always brag when I bring it up to people who have played Until Dawn without even needing to reload, like retry or anything, or play multiple times. I got the good ending where everyone survived the first go, and I think I was just lucky because I wasn't even trying that hard. I just got lucky, and I happened to pick all of the things where everyone survived.
Way to pour salt on so many people's open wounds.
Yeah, but Until Dawn, it is a very good game. I thought it was kind of an underrated game at the time. I think it's really good. So if it's just the same story, if it's done like that, I can guarantee it's probably a pretty good movie because I mean that's basically what the game was.
Yeah. Can't screw this up, guys.
Yeah, and if they do, you had all of the opportunity to make it good.
Yes.
Here's the last thing I want to bring up, and it's just because it's fun. Because I mean, we talked about when Winnie the Pooh became public domain about wanting to create our own Winnie the Pooh cinematic universe based on that. And then this year, of course, this year or the year before, Steamboat Willie became public domain.
Yeah, last year.
Yes. So that means that the first thing that's going to happen is people are going to go, let's make it into a horror movie immediately.
Yes.
Screamboat is coming out in 2025.
Screamboat
is a reimagining of the Walt Disney Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse. And it follows a group of New Yorkers who are terrorized by a murderous version of Mickey Mouse.
Well, there you go. You know what? Honestly, it's not that different from those guys in Times Square. If you take a picture of them and you don't pay them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. So Screamboat Willie. It's kind of like it makes me think of, and maybe this isn't too far around the corner either, that like for a while, I don't know, maybe also 10 years ago, there were these things called creepypastas online, which is really just like scary short stories written by random people on the internet. And they were usually pretty bad because they were just random teenagers on the internet writing scary stories. And for a while, there was a series of like killer Mickey Mouse ones, where it was basically like a Mickey Mouse character like from Disney World come to life in like a cursed version of the suit. And yeah, this makes me think that reminds me of that for whatever reason.
Oh yes.
But this is probably going to be one of those just awful like gimmick horror movies, but honestly probably pretty entertaining.
Yes. You know what? Someone maybe we'll call Disney after that movie comes out and congratulate them on their box office success. Hey guys, you did it.
Yeah.
You took some bold risks with this movie, but see how it paid off? $250,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a great box office run this movie had.
Yeah, it's funny. There are people just sitting around waiting for things to go on public domain and just make the movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is, just make it.
Yeah, I think they're doing a Popeye horror one because Popeye went public domain yesterday.
Oh, really?
And so did what was it? Rin Tin? The Adventures of Tintin?
Yeah, Tintin.
Yeah.
Interesting. But it's interesting that they always find a way to make a horror version of it.
Yes.
But anyway, that is my entire upcoming 2025 list. If many other past years are any evidence, maybe my number one of 2025 won't even be on here.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
But we will wait and see. These are some things to look forward to in 2025, even when maybe not everything is things to look forward to. So,
oh yes, stay off the news, people. Stay off the news.
Yeah, I'm talking, of course, about the Minecraft movie.
Yes. Oh my God, that Minecraft movie. Yikes! Yes. Yikes! People talk about how there's a scene in that trailer where Jack Black just realizes he made a big mistake appearing in this movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can picture that. But you know what's in Minecraft, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm right about this.
Is it the goat?
Rabbits are in Minecraft. And
you
know what you can do in Minecraft? You can dig a hole.
Oh man, you know what? Someday we need to get some, or maybe if you load up Minecraft, you can video capture digging a rabbit hole.
Yes,
that's right.
And throw a rabbit in there and make it a rabbit hole, because that was both of our lists of the upcoming 2025 movies that we're looking forward to or just wanted to bring up. And that rounds out our entire end of year special episodes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Boy, are we in for a bunch of good stuff
Yes.
this year. Some
Yes.
stuff that we're kind of like hoping will be good, but
Yeah.
some stuff we're like, oh man.
Yeah, lots to be excited about. So
Right.
yeah, who knows what lies in store for whatever the next comment section or whatever the next unwanted answers or other podcasts,
Yes.
whatever the next thing is for us.
You know what I've been considering having be 2 special episodes?
What?
I've been debating about should we do a special about the Abbott and It's Always Sunny crossover?
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, I would enjoy that. And I will, at that point, at least have caught up on maybe some Abbott Elementary to give me some context.
Yeah. Although we don't really know when we can do it because we don't know when part 2 is.
Yeah. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later and maybe earlier in the sunny season.
Yeah. And also I was thinking, you know what? You know what turns 20 years old that we should really do a special of on something that we talk about so much on this show that we should do a special on?
Something from 2005.
Remember
Batman
how we
Begins?
did?
I don't know.
Remember how we did? Well, Batman Begins.
Yeah, I
that
don't
could be fun.
Yeah.
But you know how we did our top 10 favorite versions of Spider-Man?
Oh yeah.
We should just do top 10 favorite episodes of The Office.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. I actually I have a note of a top 10 that I
Do
made at
you?
one point. It probably would have changed now, but I did make it once.
Yes. You think the newspaper will come out this year for the 20th anniversary or no?
I doubt it. I guess.
Yeah, I don't even know when it starts filming, but it should be quick to edit and everything. It's not like it's special effects heavy.
Yeah. So maybe a quick turnaround, but I don't know. We'll see.
We will see indeed.
Yes. Well, that rounds it all up then.
Yes, put a nice bow on it.
Yes. And that bow is on a rabbit and it's falling down a
Yeah.
pixelated rabbit hole like in Minecraft.
Hopefully it has a parachute.
Yes, hopefully it does. Or yeah, and doesn't go
Or
straight down
Paul's
the
gonna have
lava.
to get the hose out again.
Yeah. But continuing on into 2025.
Yes.
Falling down that rabbit hole.